Mesophytes. Mesophytes are plants living under normal conditions of water supply or in well-watered soils. Their habitats have adequate rainfall, high humidity, less winds, and shallow water table with moderate high temperature. Such ecosystems as savanna, rainforests, and reserve forests have mesophytes growing in them. Adaptations of mesophytes to their habitats. Those found in forests or trees grow tall due to competition for light. Some have slender, delicate stems to climb larger trees in order to reach light. Epiphytic mesophytes grow and support themselves on the branches of tall trees. The photograph shows a thick forest with tall trees, climbers, and epiphytes. Mesophytes in areas with adequate water supply have broad leaves and thin cuticle to encourage water loss by transpiration. Shallow-rooted mesophytes have buttress or prop roots for extra support and also to absorb water after light rains, for example, baobab. Those in drier areas have deep roots to absorb water from relatively deeper groundwaters, for example, eucalyptus. Some have waxy and shiny surfaces to reflect the strong light rays and drip off rainwater. The leaves are arranged in a regular mosaic pattern to minimize overlapping and overshadowing such that each leaf receives adequate light for photosynthesis. In this photograph, leaf mosaic arrangement is shown. Hydrophytes. These are plants that live in fresh water or in very wet places. Usually, part or whole of the plant is in the water and hence their adaptations are those that minimize the possibility and effects of absorption of excess water, obtaining enough light and gases from air. Adaptations of hydrophytes to their habitats. Floating hydrophytes have fibrous roots for absorption of mineral salts, for example, papyrus and sledges. They have an parenchyma tissue or air-filled tissue which reduce density for buoyancy and gaseous exchange, for example, water hyacinth. Have photosensitive chloroplasts, hence can photosynthesize at low light intensities. Leaves are covered by a waxy substance to reduce excessive water absorption, for example, water hyacinth. Most emergent and floating types have broad leaves with maximum number of stomata on the upper surface for efficient gaseous exchange and rapid loss of excess water through transpiration. Flowers are raised above the water to allow for pollination. The photograph below shows a water hyacinth broadleaves floating on water and its flowers raised above the water to facilitate pollination. Most of them lack xylem and support tissues and hence pliable. This avoids breakage by water currents, for example, sledges. Most of them lack cuticles, but for those which have cuticles, it is very thin to allow for absorption of water, mineral salts, and carbon dioxide. Pollution. Pollution may be defined as the release of substances or forms of energy into the environment by human activities in such quantities whose effects are either harmful or unpleasant to humans and other living organisms. There are various types of pollution. These include the following: air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution. Air pollution. It is the release of substances or forms of energy into the air by human activities in excess amounts which are harmful to living organisms dependent on that part of the air. Air pollution is caused by the following: sulfur-based chemicals, for example, sulfur 4 oxide and hydrogen sulfide, produced by industries will lead to bronchitis, pneumonia, and heart failure when inhaled. Oxides of nitrogen, for example, nitrogen 2 oxide and nitrogen 4 oxide, produced from burning petroleum fuel in motor vehicles. They are also released during industrial manufacture of nitric acid. These are poisonous to animals, affecting respiratory systems when inhaled. Smoke and fumes containing carbon-2 oxide, carbon-4 oxide, and carbon particles. These are produced from industries, burning of coal, burning of petroleum fuels, motor vehicles exhaust, burning of natural gases, and charcoal. Their effects include affecting visibility due to smoke on roads, blocks stomata, hence no photosynthesis. Carbon-2 oxide is a respiratory poison. Carbon-4 oxide causes greenhouse effect. Play the video clip to see factory chimneys releasing thick smoke into the air while a lorry is releasing thick smoke from the exhaust. Dust from quarries and cement manufacture, which affects the respiratory surfaces of organisms. Dust also clogs the stomata and blocks the stomata, affecting photosynthesis. Aerosols, which contain CFCs, whose main effect causes the depletion of the ozone layer. Noise is produced by machines in factories, heavy vehicles, aeroplanes, music players, and juakali workshops. This affects hearing in animals. For example, human beings become insensitive to low-pitched sound. On the video clips below, juakali artisans are hammering metals in a workshop, producing a lot of noise. There are many measures that are put in place by the government to enforce legislative cuts to ban use of leaded and sulfur-based petroleum products. The photograph shows a billboard of a petrol station advertising unleaded petrol and low-sulfur diesel. In controlling dust, for example in road construction, the government is enforcing the use of wet methods where water is sprayed to reduce the amount of dust raised. In industries that produce a lot of noise, it is a government policy now that everybody wears earmuffs. Play the video to see textile factory workers wearing earmuffs to minimize noise. Water pollution. Water pollution refers to the release of substances or energy forms in water bodies in quantities that are harmful to living organisms that depend on that water. The causes include release of domestic and industrial wastes in the ocean and oil spillage from tankers whose effects are harmful to the living organisms. Play the video clips to see the following. Sewage pipe discharging sewage material into the lake.
Clean this.
Oil spillage at the sea, showing water birds trapped in the oil. In controlling water pollution, apart from enforcing and providing for heavy penalties, there is also proper treatment and disposal of domestic and industrial effluents before discharge. Play the video to view industrial effluent treatment ponds and the raw sewage treatment ponds.
And we have an automatic rake which uses sensor. Like now it has sensed, and it will remove the suspended materials from here to the trailer.